Okay. Hi everyone. I have to let go. Hello everyone. Gosh. Hi allemaal. Voor iedereen in Nederland. Hello, hello, hello. I was planning going live far earlier, and yeah, well, I will get back to you in a bit. I will pour myself some drink, some water. Hi everyone, how are you all doing? Hoi allemaal. This Sunday, June 8th, 2025. Almost a minute ago, I just was planning on, I just give up my going live today. I will start up again because Twitch is not showing. So I will finish and go back live because Twitch is not doing it the right way. So see you in a bit, in a minute. Not everything has gone along. YouTube as well did not go along. It's a live stream with hiccups today, and I apologize for that. And my internet was not working accurately. So why is that? Is it coincidence? Could be. Maybe I have to let go on Twitch. Welcome everyone. I'm also tired to start up everything again, because then also on my Facebook I have to put on the whole live stream. I hope you can hear me. I hope my mic works. Let me see. Is my mic working? I think so. Yeah, I wanted to go live on Twitch, so I think I will end this live stream. And now YouTube also mentioned that my login was not allowed. So what's this, you know? And I'm already tired out by it, exhausted by setting up this going live. So I have to get over my frustration. So go to news. So I will check. Yeah, I will start up again. I'm so sorry. I want my Twitch friends also that they can view later on or now get into the... Hi Arakat, hello, welcome. It's a pity I cannot, I'm not live on my Twitch channel and YouTube says an error. Hi Thea. Okay, top. Dankjewel, super. Well, maybe I will leave it. I'm very mixed about it. Maybe I should leave Twitch, but you know, with Twitch that is that pressure I feel, like I want to honor all my friends on all my social platforms. So also on Twitch, maybe I should let go. YouTube is everything alright. Nou, dankjewel Thea. Welkom. Ik hoop dat het allemaal oké voor jullie is, dat ik het toch in het Engels doe. En ik ga ook een speciale Nederlandse live doen. Dat blijf ik erin houden, omdat ik ook Nederlandse ben. I will plan a Dutch live stream. But yeah, I am now exhausted of setting up a live stream, and specifically with my internet connection. And it is again weird, not to complain. It might be coincidence. And yeah, why is this happening while I go live, you know? But yeah, it's how it works with the programmed world. They do it in a way that it's not visible enough, that it's a proof that I'm being disturbed and interrupted. And yeah, I just wanted to go live because it's with the whole deprogramming and the way I feel now, as whole as I can be, so passionate about freedom for all beings in the whole world. That was always why I also wanted to deprogram. It was always intertwined with my own craving for be whole again. always all other beings and humanity be free again. And that this world of MKultra in the highest elite is being proven in a legal way. And I choose these words very carefully again, because it's so important that it's legally done and in a peaceful way, because I want to avoid any violence. Any violence, one violent thing done to someone is already too much for me, but that is because I came from a violent past and with all the traumas. And not everyone is like that, and I know a lot of people who have been abused. I understand the anger, and I truly cannot be angry at my evildoers, at my abusers. I have a healthy anger. That's different from punishing them or revenge. No, my goal is, of course, that I have a purpose in this world. I hope I leave a trail, I leave something behind. If this physical life ends I hope in past my 100 years age. And it's reality hits me really last couple of weeks, that former victim as I was, and in the elite, and that is so needed, that I was truly an MKultra slave for the elite. I was truly an MKultra and slave and blackmail and black ops in the military, specifically in the US, but also other countries. I meet now people who I see in governments. And I say that a lot of times, and I know I bump into it again, that I rant immediately while I wanted to do this live stream, specifically to express and to share how I live my daily life while deprogramming since the year 2000. Since the year 2000, I ended up in years after that being more alone physically, by my own choosing, some not of my own choosing, but I left alone the Dutch family. The majority of them didn't believe me, and I didn't want to hurt some of my siblings because I honor them for saying they did not see anything at all about the abuse. But it's so hard to explain how invisible I was programmed, how invisible I was put in that programming, how invisible layers in family members still can hide and invisible to the world around them. And that is the hardest thing ever, what I bump into also last couple of weeks, because I let hear my voice of that in a peaceful, very, very peaceful, violent-less way, legal way, to be a voice for not only me, but all other victims who were or had been abused by these elite people. And to come back to it, since I even start to feel more the passion to show my voice for getting my truth out and being seen in the world, and also in the people who still don't see it, still don't get it, still don't believe it, but for sure they don't get it. They don't get it that elite people who lead the world, of which many world leaders, and I've met them when they were younger, and I met world leaders, presidents, who were, when I was already in early 70s, very little girl, I met them all. And I was at Bohemian Grove. I was at these horrific rituals there. Not only me, also with other slaves, but that it does exist. And not only presidents of countries, but also prime ministers. I was also vice presidents. I was in the elite of many countries. I was that slave. And I only wish that in a peaceful, transparent way, I get my voice in this to be heard. And again, also since last week, I am so bumped into reality that since I voice now more about my wish to become more physical in expressing my story, that I do feel more eyes are upon me. And again, it's always being done that it's not visible enough for the outside world. But my dear friend here was witness that at least twice, 2 times in the last couple of weeks, that I know I have been followed. And I recognize the behavior as well. And I just know that. And I'm not scared, but also others I know I cannot go into depth in that, also have that same experience of that eyes are more upon them. And my heart goes out to everyone who tries to be a voice for survivors and victims like me. So that's out of my chest. And I'm tired because of that, wanting to go into the physical world. And I feel actually being stuck in the middle, because I want to stay in the middle. I don't want to go into extremities. I don't want to be an extreme victim. I don't want to have live streams of which you see only me crying and being the victim, what I'm afraid of that will cause as well, the image of, oh, I am that victim, yeah, and she's crying all the time. I don't want to do that. But if my emotions get me in a live stream, I do show that. And this is what I feel is important, that survivors like me are in the outside world can be and are really invisible and common people like I was. And in a certain way, I'm also proud of that, because this experience in my Dutch front life, I had my social life with friends. Not many, never many, because the programmers took care of that would not happen, of course, but later on I could add all pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together. And last couple of weeks, I'm really drained, exhausted of that I truly bump into I am not really being believed. And not you, dear friends, who follow me and support me. But I have bumped into a reality in that. I'm not being believed by the majority of people. And I'm being kept small, also my channels. And fortunately, I'm very happy and grateful for everyone on Facebook who started to follow me and befriended me. I try to respond as best as I can, but I hardly have any energy. And I also have incredible insomnia, so I don't sleep. The low frequency sound, which is, you can compare it to, the best example is that you have a speaker where the bass tones are most loud, and that speaker has been put underneath the floor where my head rests on the bed, of course, and then it vibrates through the floor and through the bed. And then there is a sequence in it. And that repeats. So it's a physical sound. To me, it's a physical sound. And only a few percentage can hear this low frequency sound. And I am sure it's part of me being disturbed in my night's rest. And it is a fact that, in a way, they do succeed because I'm exhausted in the daytime, like now, also when I'm putting on the streaming app. What I have to do before I can go live? I have to check the internet connection. Like happened now, that I have to change my wired connection while we have extremely fast glass fiber connection, which relatively always works. So and then I go live, and then it then it interrupts. Very interesting. I wanted to add a promo on my TikTok app and account, and I'm not allowed. And I think, why? Why? Because I talk about that my heart goes out to the Chinese people, and that I'm worried about what happens there in China with the CCP and the whole COVID stuff. Yeah, I now just say it. It is happening there again. And I hear other people say that economically China is doing well. No, not at all. It's already bursting for years. It's collapsing. So my eyes are upon China because I come from these plans which I witnessed in that military bases with 4 generals in the USA. And I witnessed these plans. And I don't say that China is now trying to grab the whole world, that still is the case, because I feel people are waking up. People are now seeing more and more what is truly happening, and there is being created so much chaos. I hear the people I hear about what is now happening in America with these 2 people. Well, you know who I mean. The 2 main people who's been talked about in America, the leadership, and so on. Yeah, I am observing it, and I feel it does belong to the chaos. And I know from chaos also comes again order. But is it a godly order, or is it being created? And I have been coming from that past of which I know that a lot of chaos is being created, and I'm so against war, any type of war. I wish these wars were never, ever, ever again. But yeah, that is of course maybe a bit naive, and I'm far from naive, because I got bumped, as I said already earlier, in the reality of that by letting my voice hear more and more, that I do feel the eyes are more upon me from my former programmed world or other, I don't know. I know I talk at times about world events and my worries about specifically China, and that's just my opinion. And specifically what is there developing now in the poor Chinese people, who there is a lot of a new sickness or a new variant going around. And this is what I saw in these plans. So, of course, I am very alerted. But it's not what I wanted to talk about only today. Yeah, I'm not sure if I will set up that I will go live again. Let me see, I will go to the pages, because I'm now only live on YouTube and on my Facebook page, I think. I see one comment. Okay, so that's one. One moment, please, dear friends. And maybe I will keep it only short, because I'm drained and I hate it, but I'm now so tired of only setting up this streaming software. Okay. Wait. Welcome everyone. Well, I'm not sure if I will make it long, because I wanted to talk extendedly about my daily routine, because I understand if people have questions about that, like how did you go through these days from 2000, since I choose to go for healing process. So that's what I intended to do today, and I'm just tired. Let me see, on YouTube. So I think I will choose for going live on another moment. Hello, Eric Hott, also in the comment. Thank you so much. So I sent you a heart. Dear people, yeah, I'm just not sure if I should continue now with the live streaming, because it's a pity that I don't get my chat. Let me see. And if you can share, like, subscribe, I would be so grateful. Because I also wanted to talk about that I put a GoFundMe. I launched a GoFundMe. I had to go through so much inner pride to ask for financial means for... I am truly so passionate about this voice, my voice. I hope that I can voice for other victims, survivors, that there needs to be a certain proven story, a reality of existence of what I talk about. And I bump into all kinds of, also in me, things that I am trying to digest and trying to grasp together in what is the right move. But next to that, people dear to me are obviously being threatened, scared off. And yeah, you know, there must be, it cannot be that there, I try to find the right words. It cannot be that this can go on, this whole not being believed by, and that it's not being proven. I am so incredibly passionate about doing that voice and being that voice, but I'm real enough that I need physical protection. And as I said already in many live streams, I live extremely sober. I am sober, I mean sober, it maybe is connected to alcohol. No, I mean, what's the other word for it? I live really very modest, and for years already, because I hated to be dependent on my dear friend here after my savings were gone. I sold a house. All my savings went into deprogramming, to be safe here in the house and as much as I can independent with buying food and so on. So I think I did my share. I had also a working life, not only as a pianist, as a singer, as a choir conductor. I was also working at ING Bank in the Netherlands. I was assistant account manager for ING. And I was also a planner at the insurance company Delta Lloyd. I did all these things while I was still unraveling even further after I quit these jobs, because I found out that I was used. Of course, because I worked on an ING bank. Of course I was used in my enslaved programming. So when I was in the USA, I met the president at that time in 2010. And he came by Los Angeles. And you can look it up. He did come by, I think it was around 30th of August in 2010. And that he came by with this endless row of cars and protection. And there I was being threatened with pictures of my children, that I would never see them again, or worse. My dear, which feels as family in the Netherlands, were threatened. So it's not so easy like that my life had been threatened. No, they use these tactics like your friends, if you have a husband or wife or children, they are being threatened. And I have children also in that shadow life. So they were also threatened. He showed me pictures. This president showed me pictures of, these are your children, huh? Well, you better clear off. You better go back in your programming. And if you continue to go for freedom, then I will get your children. But why do they do that also in that invisible way? Because I am telling you this now, and I have not one picture of these children. So again, I'm isolated, and that's the tactic, to be and stay isolated. I notice it I reached out in comments, maybe some of you saw that also, some Dutch channels. I supported some Dutch channels in recreating their channel. They got their goal with the money to launch the channel, which is great, because everything what is unraveling the shadow world and the deep state is one better. And again, I'm being ignored. And this is why I think I am again being ignored. Might that not be because I tell the truth, because I was that elite, because I recognize also in the here and now people in the government, in the Dutch government, who abused me. I will not mention names, but I recognize them, and one is pretty really high up. And I had last night again flashbacks, and last couple of days. And I had to wear a piggy nose. He loved me doing like a pig. And then other children were also part of it. And a pig mask. He also loved to wear a pig mask. And I was going through that last couple of days. And this is reality. And it should be said. It should be proven for once and for all that I am telling the truth, that this is happening still, in my opinion. And I do hope that I also have my eyes on America. And I told you already earlier in live streams that I know the leader of America. But I know that many of them truly want to get out. And are remembering, because the older you get in the MKultra, the more you start to, if you're not being rebriefed or reprogrammed, then leakages start to enter in the whole program, in the whole programming layers. And many booby traps, like self-harm layers and suicidal layers, even layers which are connected to, for example, going in a monastery. It's just an example, or become a monk. Many of them, or a nun, many of them are being deprogrammed and think they hit a layer of where they are very into Christ or in a belief system, which is totally fine. Freedom for all people, that's my opinion. But that layer is not digging up all the deeper layers. And this is my bridge towards going to how I deal with daily life. This is an example of how I deal with daily life. The more I heal, because I am, the majority of the daytime, I am physically here alone or with my dear friend and someone else in this house somewhere in the Netherlands. And I live there for the outside world, very, nothing notices anything, I think, in my behavior. And so it is just like an example of how I do my daily life. It is not sleeping in the night because I'm disturbed by these low frequencies. So I suffer from the insomnia, and I notice that in the daytime. And because I decided from 2000 to go fully for every day, every night. This is again to come back to the whole main thread from 2000 to now, that I decided I want to dig deeper. I want to know what's inside of me. I know who I am, who I fully am. And in 2000, I never would have imagined that I would be MKultra, and then also for the elite. My first flashes were in 2006, that I was at that time with the president and my daughter, Jennifer. And the Dutch translation is for with the surname of these presidents that were father and son. And they were horrific. And they were my first flashbacks. But even then, I did not believe it at first, but I was in a reliving physically. And from this 2006, then I withdrew even more within myself, and I felt like, okay, well, let's start up alive again. So I ended up even losing my house. I was homeless for a short while, fortunately, and I had support from this dear friend who already supported me. But I was homeless, and I ended up somewhere in the Netherlands in a very nice environment in a small cottage on a camping, and there it was survival because I had water drainage problems. Mice were in that little house, so they destroyed all my clothing which I had. I moved so many times in my life, only in the Dutch life, that it's exhausted when I mention it. And to come back to this was my daily life. So from 2000 to 2006, I dug up my Dutch and Belgium and German memories. And then at times I got even flashes of, hey, why do I see this high-level person? Why am I ending up with flashbacks being in a garden of lawyers and judges and other famous people who wear a crown in the symbolism? And then I was in hunting parties. And I know for the common people, for the majority of people, it's unbelievable. But there are so many victims like me, survivors like me, who talk about it. It's proven that even people who did not know each other, they could find the same spot where they were brought for these hunting parties. So it's needed that there will be some legal joint forces, but survivors like me need to stay protected physically. I am very real in that I won't mention names. In that one example of, and I have tears in my eyes, I was yesterday and last night crying and shaking from the flashbacks of that some leader in the Netherlands, Dutch government, was in these orgies with pigs. And I had to wear a pig's nose, a festive pig's nose. And I had to crawl like a pig. And I had to make the sounds like a piggy. This is reality, people. And I demand that voice to have some kind of voice for the others, and that we then assemble and that we then truly come together as victims, as survivors, with our stories. And that it's publicly being heard from all sides of the world. And then people can figure them for themselves, like, ooh, this one from that side of the world is telling the same story? How is that possible? They don't know each other. Exactly, I wish, but that is being proven. So, yes, I want physical security before I go mentioning names. Because now mentioning this leader of this Dutch government, which I know from the past, that's already quite something that I say that. But I'm fed up with being the invisible. I'm fed up with all the time being afraid. If I tell names, then my life's being threatened. And that's a reality. What I say now is life-threatening for me. Could be. And that's, if it's God's will, inshallah. And I know maybe some of you hate that Islamic word, but I honor all religions if they are respectful and righteous. And we can live in a world where we have these beautiful religions, which has the basics of being respectful and peaceful to each other and care for each other, like independent countries and governments, and that then the people govern the country. And yeah, I did not understand, I might put this whole video offline after this live stream. I am so tired. Can you see my emotions? Can you feel my emotions? That I'm fed up. I sometimes get the question, or some people say like, Elizabeth, why don't you just, you are healed now, go live your life. I can't. I am 25 plus years doing day in, day out. And God knows it's the truth. And also my dear friend here, and the people who do feel me. I live day in, day out, pure for healing, for inner healing, to voice that this is a reality. This elite who tries, of the deep state, who still tries to puppeteer many, many in the world leaderships. And it's time, people, that I get my voice and being proven. So I want my DNA to be proven. I want to be proven that I origin from what I tell I am. Hi, dear Jane. Well, Jane is a part of that. She's going to write a book. And follow her as well on her channel, please, dear people. She has her unique way of showing her love for all the people, also the guests, in her channel, on her channel. And there is a book to be written, and we still are looking for a publisher. And I feel, again, will there be a publisher be courageous enough to take that story? And I feel so from within, I'm getting emotional because I'm tired of the insomnia. I'm tired of having been followed last couple of weeks. I'm tired of all the time trying to voice in just a certain clarity and showing my independency for physical protection, which I have no money for that. I have no money for that. And I am no longer ashamed for that. But the more I speak out with names, the more I speak out in detail, the more I'm threatened. I'm really threatened physically. But I am not a fool. I know what I say. I know what I just said about this Dutch government. And I will put this offline. And I wish that people would just support me in showing that can anonymous, but just show your support by subscribing to my YouTube channel. Facebook is already growing, and I'm very grateful. I'm also grateful for the people in my life. I'm not going into details, who showed me also reality of this high security level I need when I start to speak out. And yeah, it's a messy world, and there is so much war, there's so much violence. And then I am simply Elizabeth Wallace from the Netherlands, who try in that whole worldly jungle of chaotic and being created wars. And in my opinion, the COVID is heading this direction. That's my opinion. Because I've seen the plans, and I've seen Chinese troops enter the coasts of America. I hope the present American president is listening. But, I feel last couple of days also, that's what I mean, I feel stuck in the middle. I cannot go back into that invisible Dutch woman, Elizabeth, doing dog walks, cat walks. I even wanted to start up my healing practice again, because I know I'm a damn good reader and healer. But I can't, because I feel that mission, that passion. For 25 years, I lived voluntarily alone in a house. Majority did alone the inner work without any drugs. I did not take any medicine. I was not in any way institutionalized, psychiatric help, and so on. Yes, I was diagnosed with PTSS, but, well, is it weird with my history, with my past as being sexual abused? But, do you see what I mean? And I don't want to complain all the time. I'm craving for that the only thing that my voice is being heard is if my social media grows. And it's being withheld, that's for sure. And Facebook is going better, so yeah, I hope, yeah, what else can I do? Am I going that far that I will mention names, which is for me always such yeah. You see, here I go again. I know these people, and I've seen them in other countries being world leaders, and I can't go anywhere with my truths, because I am very much aware of the dangers for my life, and not even my life, because I know the tactics. I will now check the chat. I was not planning to go so emotional, an emotional rant. Jane says, yes, I'm writing this story. Yes, I had a dream about 10 years ago that Chinese troops landed on the northeast coast of America. Wow, Jane. I did not know that, and you know that. You know that too. And by the way, to come back to that being followed, I am always alert. This is also part why I stay inside the house mainly, in my residence, which feels a bit as a safe haven, because I am always alert. If I walk a few hundred meters, I only go to a supermarket where they know me. Why do I do that? Because I know they know me. So, and not what I do. They don't know that I'm a former MKultra. They don't know that I'm on social media doing live streams like this. They don't know my past. I never tell anyone. First of all, I'm of course afraid to be called crazy. And yeah, but I do that for a reason, because people know me. And in that way, I get more aware of when I see some people or who shadow me, or which I feel is not really secure for me. So I know I am all the time alert. 25 years, day and night. That's my life. But I gladly do that with full-heartedly. I cannot do otherwise. And this is also part of my crisis. I cannot go back. I cannot go back into my invisible life, in my Dutch civilian life. I can't. Rant. Well, it's part of how I do my daily life. But this is my daily life. I'm getting confronted with, if I see the news, or I follow the politics everywhere on the world, that I recognize some people from my past. So yeah. From the West Coast and Canada, that's the plan, I think. That's a possible future. I've seen it too, Elizabeth. Oh, you too, Era? Well. And I am so, again, that stuck in the middle. But then you also know why I put on that GoFundMe. I know it's, for me, no reality to do a lecture in 2025 in Amsterdam, which I want to. But I cannot do that with the right physical protection. So, and that's part of me feeling stuck. And what I can do is tell my story, and in the hope that some of elite, or some who has a bit of power in this, I will go so fully for voicing this truth on behalf of others. I know I can, because I always, and my dear friend and some other friends know that I was born for this. But again, it is because I was in the elite, and I'm also part of these two hidden bloodlines, which I was born out. But maybe you then understand why I'm being kept even more invisible until this very day. It will only be visible, and this is the scary part. I don't know where the borders are exactly. When did I cross a threshold that I will be physically threatened? I don't know. And I'm very honest, I am on that point now. But I'm on a point of no return. I cannot be someone else that I worked for 25 plus years, and even before that with my dear beloved Michael Jackson, which I know added to the whole unbelievable stuff. But yes, you must stay safe. Yeah, thank you, Era. So should I put this online or not? I'm not sure, but I truly, I hate the word help, because if there's one thing what I learned to not do is ask for help and support. I truly ask for your help in this. To share, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will so go, as God is my witness, I will so go. I am going for getting this proven in a legal way. In a legal way being proven. That what I say is true and that my identity is true. Well, yeah. What a rant. Gosh. Yeah, maybe I should leave. I'm very emotional. But this is also because of I cannot understand how it feels to live in a country which is still caught, in my opinion, with the whole moves of now the government, which has fallen right before the NAVO top in June. It's no coincidence, by the way, that it's around or on the 25th of June. There's a lot of symbolism in that. I'm not surprised that date has been chosen, but next to that, yeah, I'm not going to repeat it. That I recognize a certain high-level leader here. So, and this is my life now. This is my daily life, and it was always like that. To give some examples of that it slowly graduated, you all know that I did a documentary and I honor Peller Naroff-Taylor for that, and of course also with Jane, which I started to get to know, and she's so enthusiastic in writing the book about me and my friendship with Lady Di, and there will be other things being disclosed, and I'm so grateful, and for others who shared their experience for years in certain worlds to advise me on things. I'm so incredibly grateful for that. But since the documentary aired, and it's now offline because it was a draft, and in the near future, hi Nobby, good afternoon, how are you doing? And that is this draft has been put offline for certain reasons. And but since then, I felt more being followed. And an example was that it was in February. I was very close to Hilversum. Well, that my dear friend already told me, like, how did you choose that environment? You know, that's the most dangerous environment to be in as a former MKultra from the elite and government, etc. Yeah, I have to laugh, but I maybe in that way then also naive, because I stop living, then I am all the time only in the house here. And I already bump into the walls. I already explode in the house for years that I want to go outside more, and I do. There's also a reason, of course, that I walk dogs, because with dogs I feel safe, because I know they will protect me. You know, I think of everything. I think of all these things. But in February this year, I was in Hilversum. That's an example of that the eyes are more upon me. And I have photos to prove it. But YouTube is not allowed to show cadavers. so dead animals, and I'm not fond of it myself. A measurement, and I think you too, Jane, and others, and other victims and survivors, they know that programmers, when you talk too much, when you're showing yourself too much as former victim with your truth of the past, then they show, for example, when you're on the road, cadavers or dead animals and dead birds. I already, also in the USA, 2009 to 2010, I also got the roadkills, and of recent also here where I live, that I bumped into a flattened bird near my house. But what I did make a video and photos of, which I can prove, but will not show because YouTube is not allowing this, that I was near Hilversum and I was only there for a couple of days only. And that I walked into the gate and then I saw a dead bird lying down in the garden, and not near a window, no, right behind the gate where I entered, where I should see it. And it was paws up, which is, I mean, very common that dead birds, their paws go up because they are so light. So with every wind, you know, the feathers, then brush of air, then the paws go up. There was no blood, and it was a beautiful singing bird. Such a beautiful bird, wild bird. And then I was not in the garden for, I think, at least an hour. And then I wanted to go outside with the dog, walking the dog, and there I saw another bird lying down. And the first bird, I was so shocked, I did not know what to do with it. And I have pictures of it, by the way, and that was a bit in front of, it's a bit a weird building where I was, but it was the back garden, which is used as a front garden, and there you have some grass, a terrace, and then that gate which I talked about. And that bird was also lying with the paws up, and I made immediately a short video of it, and then I knew I needed to scoop up the birds because it triggered me, and I still feel it, and I have a picture of it. So I took the courage to put the birds up. And my question is to you all: what's the chance that I or you would visit a totally new environment where you were never before? I mean, there for, let's say, for being there, staying there for a couple of nights and days. In the first days, new house, new environment, and then you find 2 dead birds with paws up, no blood. And it is enough non-coincidence. You know what I mean? What I try to say, and this is what they do. It's being kept invisible, but visible enough to victims and survivors like me, because I get triggered by dead birds and dead animals. And for sure, flattened animals, like a few days ago when I wanted to cross the bike, and there I saw a large white bird which lives at the sea. I forgot now. A seabird. Oh, I forgot. It's my tiredness. Totally flattened on the street. But yeah, this is some might recognize it, but this is my daily life. And another example of it is, which I cannot prove, but I had my flashbacks, was in the first years that I uncovered in my talking about my daily life here in the deprogramming. I love sauna. I love cleansing, and I love the water, and I love being in the heat of the sauna and can let go of things. That's what I did until 2010, when I decided to stay home after I visited for the second time the USA, because I was caught there too, which I will also talk about. But this was in the Netherlands. So I already started to give some lectures, by the way, about the future of the world and about the deep state. I was always already aware when I was an older teenager, read a lot of books about it and so on. I was not so aware about the MKultra. Actually, I was totally not into MKultra or mind control. I was in the deep state. I was pure investigating that and reading books and so on. So I came from a lecture, and then I was pulled from a parking place. So I was a parking spot in the Netherlands. It was in the north. It was in Friesland. And there I was parked in a parking place. And then another guy entered my car, and he put me in a trance state in another personality, which was the frozen personality. And then I could sit behind the wheel like this in a car, and then people would only see me stare. I also, at that time, took with me diaries to write in the sauna and to write down my process of healing and so on. And I already at that time was digging up the hunting parties with high elites in the Netherlands, Belgium and Germany. I already dug up memories that I was used for trafficking and was in a lot of these trafficking, which they called kennels in the three most important border places in the Netherlands to Germany and to Belgium and Benelux. And there I already dug up memories, and I all wrote that down. I have boxes full of diaries and notebooks and drawings, and I hope I can also in the future can give it to for a purpose. That's also part of my crisis. Where can I leave my heritage? Where can I leave all my documented testimonies about this abuse life I was in? Maybe someone can write me or email me with a solution. I am figuring out a lot of things, but not to wander off, to come back to this specific example of being caught while I was on a parking spot coming from a lecture. So I was put in another personality, and this personality was questioned about what I already told to my dear friend, for example. They also investigated my dear friend here, by the way. This is why I keep her anonymous. And this is why extremely in panic, freaked out years ago when some trolls trolled me in some live streams and thought they could dox me and so on. Dox, well, people who might not know what doxing is that finding out about your privacy things and so on. And luckily it was the wrong one, but I felt very threatened. So to come back to the parking spot, so in that personality, but I had also a deep personality in me who was already deprogrammed as best as he could with the love by Michael Jackson in the USA. And even a physician and a whole team of doctors were part of it. This is, by the way, the reason why I still am observing Donald. You know who I mean, the American Donald. And, well, there are certain connections. Let's keep it to that. That I want to see what he tries to do. Maybe he does try to get the deep state down. This is why I stay observant. Because of what I came across. So now maybe you can understand even more why I am the way I am and why I talk the way I talk. Pure from how I view things, from the perspective what I experienced. So then that personality, so I was being, how you say that? I'm a bit lightheaded. I need to drink something. I'm shaking. And that's what happens too when I talk about these memories. Then in a certain way it hits the parts in my brain who remembers this, and then I am in a certain reliving, but not as big, as giant as when I the first time relived this. So in the car, so he tried to how you say that? Investigate. Well, he asked me question, interrogate. He tried to interrogate me. But that part in me who was deprogrammed by the love of Michael Jackson, I knew how to hit my diary. So I still know what I wore. I wore a giant long black coat with a deep hoodie. And when that happened, I somehow recognized the man who entered my car to try to interrogate me and to reprogram me. And I hid the diary, which was a black one, so black diary into a black hoodie. And I always had long hair, by the way. I don't want to chop off my hair because that triggers me. And I feel hair is a divine, godly thing, which I decided to grow, and I will never, ever cut my hair short. That's part of it. There's a lot of symbolism about it, by the way, why many MKultras think they have deprogrammed and then cut their heads and shave their heads. It's to ridiculize. I was there with a certain Dr. F, and he experimented with medicines for cancer, and he was laughing when, with the medicine, hair fell off. Oh man, I'm sorry, I wander off again. So, because of this personality, so there were two personalities active in that car in the upper part of Netherlands when I came from that lecture, and they tried to interrogate me. And I thank God and I thank Michael that that personality in me, or because of the love of Michael, that she did not tell this interrogator where my diary was. And I still have that diary, by the way. I can show you next time some pages. I'm thinking I will disclose more, but that is again why I wanted to do a physical lecture. The physical lecture I cannot do without physical protection. That's what I do know. And so they tried to interrogate me. What I did mention was how far I was in the deprogramming. And that was a bit less, of course. That was very hurtful when I started to remember that. But my diary with all the memories, also with Michael, fortunately, I did not disclose that. And by the way, these interrogators, they can go into the car because with a gesture, in this case, they showed up. That's one of the ways. So it's never with one trigger code to call up a personality. Why not? Because when, for example, you would know the trigger code would be, for example, a pen, which also happened in my case, then someone else totally unaware of MKultra or calling up a personality would spontaneously trigger a personality. No, there are always at least three triggers needed to pull up a certain personality. So this personality called up with a pen, and that was a very marmalade, no, how you say that, marble pen, a bit thick, rounded, with, I still see that it had a silver middle. It was a very luxurious pen. And he held it up, and then a card, a business card. And then he did like this. And then he turned his head the other way around. I will not show the other trigger codes, because I don't have that in my possession, of course. And in that way, I was in that car, opening the car for that guy and acting like I was, as if we were friends. And he could interrogate me because he then could call up that other personality. Well, the majority of the interrogators of mine at that time, they were black. I call them men in black, but they were not the famous men in black from the Twilight Zone or something. They looked always a bit weird, but they wore sunglasses even when the sun was not shining. They were very pale. But I had always at least certain bodyguards, but certain guards and programmers, reprogrammers, who then one of them entered my car. So, and then they always had a suitcase with them, and in that suitcase there was a little device with for electroshocks, with frequencies and electroshocks, and then they could wire me. And it's not needed specifically through a headband. Let that be clear. It's not only used with a headband. I did have mobile headbands as well, that they were these suitcases with a monitor, tiny monitor, and then with these electroshocks devices. But this was one which was going on my index finger, and it's no coincidence that I have a trigger finger. So a trigger. My index fingers is for years now. My nerves are very sensitive and very painful, and that is because I also had to do a lot of triggers with guns and so on. So I used it a lot, but it was through this index finger also that and kind of, how do you call that, Jane or someone else from abroad? Nobby, you know how that's called? I was traumatized with these things which you do to hang up the laundry, to keep the laundry tight. I know that word, but it's used on me as well to torture me. So I always forget that word. But and in that way they could also give me electroshocks, and the electroshocks was again to seal off that I would ever remember this. What happened with that interrogating thing. And next thing, they do the next 3 triggers, and then I was in the personality of the frozen one, and then they sealed it off with what I recalled from the light and bright room. Yeah, there's a whole story I already told in live streams how that worked with the light and bright room, but that I was then in a peaceful in-between personality layer. And then they put me again in a certain trance, and then my Dutch front, which was called Monique at the time, was called up. So Monique Tara, it was also Tara. Yeah, it's very complex, but my birth name here in the Netherlands was Monique, and I changed it officially into Tara. And now I'm back to my original name, Elizabeth, which was, which is in my... It can be proven in my birth certificates, so I hope that someone from the high elite, again, will have the courage to help me prove who I am. Even I'm very well aware of that people need physical proof, but these documents are there, so I hope they will be released. But yeah, this is maybe why you understand why I am being kept invisible and being kept small with my channels as best as possible, and poor. It's I'm being closed off from all sides, and if not, then people get threatened in very subtle ways. I will watch now the chat. When was this abduction? This was, I think this was, let me see. It's hard, but it was before 2010. So when I was already remembering things, and I was also naive, and I was still caught. So until 2010, when I went twice to the USA to honor, part of it was actually the main reason for that was to honor Michael, and I went there also. I tried even to enter for the ceremonial things around his death. I was so distraught. I was so sad. I needed to do something to reach the family. But I was not aware of how deep also his deprogramming was seeded inside of me. That we tried to escape 3 times, and he was punished for that. Well, you see how he has been punished. It ended up that his life was ended too soon, his public life, and also as an artist, he was destroyed. He was destroyed in all kinds of ways, also with the awful accusations against him. So, yeah. Maybe 2009. Well, I tried to recall because I always have some key things in my life which I remember in the whole thread, and I'm also in the in the main thread of the deprogramming, and Yeah, it could be around 2009 or maybe 1 year earlier, but I can look it up because I have my diary still. So maybe, yeah, I can look it up, Jane. But good question. But I'm getting tired, so another thing what is part of how I lived my main life. So I like to also, so from 2000 I started to remember things. From 2006 there was the first memory with my daughter Jennifer and one of the presidents, American presidents at that time, flashbacks. And then I withdrew, and then I uncovered other layers like suicidal layers, self-harm layers. I went all that without any medicine, and majority of these flashbacks I went through it myself here in this safe residence. On other spots, somewhere in the Netherlands. At times I was also in the USA because I was still used. And when I was still used in the programming, then Michael and a team of physicians and some other who were involved and knew about it. Also Elizabeth Taylor knew about me. She granted me one time her wing, her special wing in the hospital of Los Angeles. I am so grateful for that. Yeah, I wish I could show you also the gifts I received from Michael and others and the documents I signed. They were all stored safely, and I'm grateful for that because I was still being used. What Michael and the ones who tried to help me deprogram knew, so they kept it safe, and also spread among certain people because you spread your risk. That's better, always better. So that's a tip for everyone if you want to say your truth about certain evil things done to you. Spread it to people you trust, and then you spread the risk. So don't put it on one egg, but on a whole net of eggs. This is why I do multi-streaming as well, by the way. Yeah. But so my daily life was then day and night deprogramming, and of which the first years were only flashbacks. Many of the times, an example of the flashbacks was that I then crawled inside a corner. I then put a pillow. I took another pillow. If I was angry, then I was with my fists beating in my anger or screaming in a pillow because I didn't want the neighbors to think that something was wrong with me or that they needed to run for me or something, because I wanted to stay as invisible as possible to deprogram. And I was also, of course, in the fears of being caught and not knowing that I was still in the programming and still in the MKultra programming, but also until 2006. Approximately then Michael also had all entrance when I was in the USA to help me deprogramming and get with that medical team to heal my heart, because I had in my also in my programming, to make it more complex, I had built in heart attacks, and it was a seven stroke bombs inside of me. So I would then have a mild heart attack, and then the seventh one would be the big giant explosion, which would create a cardiac arrest. It did went off. It did go off, and fortunately Michael was there. And in the latest years, when I was with him deprogramming, he helped me deprogramming with that physical team. I have a picture. I have a notebook picture as well. When I was sitting next to him, when I heard the message from that physician, that he gave the news that my heart could not deal with more deprogramming with Michael and from their side. So I needed to continue from my Dutch front. And this is why it started to, actually Michael's passing triggered my past, my MKultra past, even on deeper layers. And this is a common known trigger for MKultras and for SA and SRA victims. When, for example, a loved one, a beloved one, dies, which is very near into your heart, but it can also be a beloved one from the abuse life. It can be from both parts. then it can trigger and it can set off all the memories suddenly. So this is why if you listen to this live stream and you know you have the feeling that you have been an MKultra mind-controlled SA or SRA victim, please listen, watch with a loved one, and listen to your own fears. If your fears tell you you have to put off the video, please do. Please honor your inner resistances, because they can hide and be an incredible protector for getting off the suicidal layers. My suicidal layers were strangling and cutting. Now I've said it. Yeah. And I went through it all alone, on my physical own feet on the ground, with the love of my dear friend here who I could call. Because, again, in all these years of deprogramming, from when I found out that I was MKultra from end of 2010, I never lost any time awareness. So if you lose time, if you lose a couple of hours, or you're suddenly awoken somewhere else and you have lost some time, please be careful. Please be careful, take care, and call immediately a help desk, or call immediately a beloved one you trust. Believe me, it's these layers of suicidal and self-harm layers are. I think I'm pretty unique in that I could do this because Michael Jackson prepared me for this. He helped me go through suicidal layers and self-harm layers. And he used for that plastic fork and knives. When he triggered, he set off this small child in me who wanted to kill myself. So I had that unique position, and I am so grateful. I think this is my strength and this is my passion. Why? My number one goal is to get this legally, with the help of someone who truly want to get the deep state truly being shown, and not being able to lead not one country, not one land, not one city, not one family, not one child. This is where I was born for. This is why it's for me all in one. My own freedom is the same as for everyone's freedom, and this is being shown and being said. So I think I'm pretty open today, and in detail more than ever in all these live streams. And to come back to my mainly life, so with all these relivings and traumas, so my daily life was day and night going through flashbacks. And another thing was, when I went through physical flashbacks, was that I then curled myself up, or I went to a spot in the house, because I took care of it that I was alone, because I always had some couple of days that I was alone in the house. And as I said, then I took a pillow or a blanket, and then I started to breathe. And another thing was that I know with me, that is just me, uniquely me, that I knew that electrolytes were a savior for me. Sugar and electrolytes. That I think also Michael contributed to that was my safety. And with my self-harm layers, the self-cutting layers, I could conquer them, because in case I was in a certain mode that I would harm myself, that I knew where I could cut myself without any harm or scarring. So I'm very open today, but I hope my story, dear people, gets... I'm sometimes just desperate about what do I have to do more to get my story out and to at least get more views, get to be heard. Because I am being withheld from speaking out and in the physical. And I can speak out in the physical, but there's a consequence to it, that I have no financial means to even finance security. So maybe you could help me with what is free to share. That's now for me now the most important thing, just to express. I mean, I cannot force it. I can only ask for your help. So I ask for your help in this, like to give me the chance to reach some of the elite who might be even part of former deep state, formerly in the deep state, or know about that world. And I know many of them are and want to get out. And I hope someone will listen and hear me, and to get it physically proven who I am. That's all I ask. So please, people, I hope you will subscribe. YouTube would be awesome, because YouTube, Rumble, also my Rumble friends. I hope to go live as well. That did not work out as well. I will, by the way, I have an idea. I will stream this as a live stream in coming days. I don't think I will manage for tonight, but I will stream it on Twitch. I can't do that because the video is my own, of course. And let's see what time it is. It's 3:15. Okay. Well, are you all done by now by me talking for... okay, well, it's an hour now, but I am tired, drained. But actually, I did have apparently some energy. So behind me, you see the mandala works with, what I also posted on my social media. I also added, I love it, a bit of retro cassette recorder. And in that, I could retrieve only beginning of this year, I think, or end past year, that I retrieved some of my old audio cassette tapes with me playing the piano and singing for two sopranos, which I arranged it myself. I received a gift from one of the conductors. He was already at age, but we had a very, very dear, close relationship in a way of respecting each other as musicians. And I took over his choir, which were all senior people, and he gave me this arrangement for one soprano, an Ave Maria, which is pretty unknown, and I felt very blessed and honored to have received it. And then I rearranged it for two sopranos. It's not a masterpiece, but you hear me sing in that, and I posted it on YouTube as a premiere. And I loved, to just putting my voice into the world. This is me, and I think, again, a proof that I was, even in my front life, totally in God, and I loved Magdalene, and I still am in Maria and Holy Mary, and just the true Christ inside of me. And also, I just, it kept me going also in my Dutch front life, which was very sincere. And when I re-listened this soprano piece, then I was just flabbergasted by how I could even sing. I'm curious if you recognize my voice. Sometimes I'm underneath the other soprano, and sometimes I'm higher than the soprano. I crossed the lines, the melody lines at the time when I arranged it. And I'm very honored with having a fundament of physician, because I met, this was also handy in the programming, because I met also Horowitz, the pianist Horowitz, and Nureyev, the ballet dancer, and I'm just very honored by that, you know. They had a personality which were also so genius, and it's a truth, dear people. It's a truth. I cannot help it, but just I voice now. I decided I'm going full with in detail. This was my life, and this is why I cannot go back to Dutch. The Dutch, even as I lived as Monique. Like the rest of my life, maybe a bit dog and cat sitting, which I do love, but it's not my main passion. And then live my life. So, my gosh. Okay, dear people, I'm tired. I was already tired and exhausted because I don't sleep. And now now you know a bit more about how I live my daily life. Maybe I can add to that last couple of years, since I feel more whole than ever. I still have flashbacks, but they are like also last couple of days with a certain. That was my military past with one of the elite government leader now in the Netherlands, in the military, and in Nijmegen, where I was doing therapy for music, studying, and meanwhile I was there used by military, also the borders to Germany and so on. But I was very triggered by that, and then what I do to get out of a flashback is that I then curl myself up in a fetus position. Then I call upon my beloved Michael, archangels, God, my own protection shield, my own aura, who I am, and where I do this for all beings, for every child, every single man, woman, child, all beings, that I am not going to give on to what the flashback tells me, to be so fearful that I withdraw myself into becoming an invisible person and to get back to being a fearful person. And then what I also do is at times, because my hands were used in the programming. Well, I was used in the programming also to stab others, to have guns in my hands. I still have that gesture of that I know how to pick up a more heavier gun. Let's say it like that. And I have now a trigger finger which hurts still to this very day. But then I gently massage it, and then I wiggle with my toes. But maybe it can be of help for others. Call upon your beloved and call upon God, or what is for you your protective guides, inner guides. It can be another word for it. If it's for you contributing to for you the symbol of love and unconditional love, then call upon that energy. And for me, approximately 20 minutes to half an hour I need to get out of a flashback. And that's in earthly minutes, not so long. But I know, dear people who do lead and led from traumas and PT, post-traumatic stress syndrome, I always get mixed up with the Dutch word and the English word, but I think it's PTSS. That it ends, that it seems endless that you can get out of it, but please move something what you can move of your body, and that makes you come back to the here and now. And another tip what I can give is try to crawl to another space. So if you have a flashback, for example, I had many times that I was sitting against the heater. And then I bumped my head, sometimes also against the walls. And then somehow I had the consciousness to put my hand in between it. And then I felt the contact with, oh, that's not a wall. I should not do that. So then I helped myself out of a flashback. And again, I am a unique case because I was always present with I need to say that. I was always, from 2010, present fully, consciously, without medicine, without drugs. I was always conscious what I did. And I'm pretty unique in that, I think. So don't worry. I was never really worried that I would harm myself. I need to disclose that as well. So disclaimer, I'm doing well. I always did well. But a flashback can give the feeling as if it ends at that moment and that you're there. And I know how it feels. I know how it feels when I was in Afghanistan in a cave with a certain bin L. I was there. I know how it feels to be in a flashback and trembling of what I witnessed there, or in war zones, or what I was forced to do with my black ops. I know how it feels. So I hope I can also be a support to people who are going through this. I am so with you. You can always write me, message me. I'm on Messenger on Facebook. I'm reachable. So if you have sincere, if you want to share something, and then through the Messenger, I will give you my email address where you can write me. Era says, thank you, Elizabeth. You were such a talented artist. You are a beautiful soul and an inspiration. Oh, thank you so much, Era. Thank you, blessing. Oh, thank you so much. Nobby says, no drugs, alcohol, or pharma. Yep. And it's actually what the programmers did to me, like making me fearful of being institutionalized. I still cannot say it. It also made me even fighting for, there was a time, and then I will quit, when I still had contact with my sister-in-law. Well, that contact broke because of someone of my former abusers in the Dutch life spread a lie about me, of which that contact broke, and I cried when I heard about that years later. Only, by the way, last year, July, I heard from that. It's still painful, but I should not lose my thread, so I was watching. Oh yeah, and that I was in the... Yeah, I'm alert that a helicopter comes by, crosses over. It happens a lot when I'm live streaming. You probably don't hear it, so no proof again. But what was I saying? And then I was in the first things of having very, very heavy flashbacks that I got contractions when I was in labor with a child as a teenager. And then she was holding my hand, and then I screamed out because I saw an ambulance coming by where I was at that time. And she said, no worries, because I said, in no way, ever, I want to be brought to psychiatrist, psychologist. My apologies to all the sincere psychologists and psychiatrists. I mean, I don't mean you integer, true, honest, dear people. I mean the ones who are in it, because I know I was always sent to these people, and it counts for hospitals as well, and for institutions, mental institutions. I said, but I'm so afraid when I was in that reliving of being in labor. Like, I'm so afraid that they will take me, that they will find me crazy. And then she said, because she was pretty heavy, very strong woman, really, I honor her for that. And she said, no one is crossing that threshold in front of the front door. I will always defend you. And somehow I always came across some of these people and dear people in my life. Although very, very, very little people, very few people, few people. And of course, since I started deprogramming, I had only one dear friend left. And a few others, and now, some are reconnecting in a way which my heart was always connected to, and I'm so honored with that. And my new friends, of course. But that is an example of why I have an incredible fighting spirit as well. But I truly feel that the love relationship with Michael Jackson and his attempts to deprogram me, and that we tried to flee, which did not work out, despite all the resistances. Again, this is why maybe I tell this now as a whole, spontaneously. I was not planning in even talking about Michael again, but now maybe you understand why I am observing Donald in America, because I know him, and that I am observing, and I call out to him or his people, like, I don't want revenge. I want the world to change for real into a good, righteous world. And I want governments and elites and with power have again the space to be in their special way leaderships, because leaderships are needed as well. I mean, it's so great to have all unique talents in people, but that they are not being puppeteered and being threatened, and the majority are being blackmailed or are being themselves maybe caught in deprogramming layers, which I think of someone who is close to Donald and of the feud of recent. And I also tweeted to him. I did not. Yeah, did I know about that void? I'm not even knowing because I was so passionate about. Maybe he will be the answer to being heard, because the behavior can be that he starts to remember. Maybe even Donald tries to help him deprogram. I'm just saying. So this is why I am observing everything. Ay. So, are there questions in the chat for me, or do you want to know more about my daily life? I will stream this live stream also this week in an evening for also that people in the US and elsewhere in the world with a time zone can join in. And I'm sorry that Twitch and Rumble did not go along with the live streaming. Cross-posting also did not work. And I see now YouTube is not receiving enough video. Okay, well, this is YouTube is not running smoothly now. So, and so I hope sincerely that we as the people can change this world for the good, but to be in a voice. The voice is powerful also for the voiceless and who don't dare to show their truth. And this is why I hope to contribute. But for sure, I hope you can hear me that I have sincere reasons for putting up this ask to higher personal security when I going physically more in details in a lecture. I'm working on some even safer possibilities, but I do need personal security. I cannot go into details about that. It's all on the background, still molding into. And this is why I cannot give a factual date. I know that's part of it, but at least I keep the GoFundMe up because of that. That it might be needed, and that I then can give you as soon as I can a physical date. But I think it will be for sure will be 2026. So please share, like on YouTube, join me on my social media platforms. You see here down below my link to all the social media platforms, and share this video. Share my passion for getting it proven that I am who I say I am, and my identity. And that would be the day that someone, maybe a former deep state, former MKultra from the elite, the high end, that they would reach out to me and shake hands, and I would very peacefully, respectfully honor this gesture by making that change. Because wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be the way to break through this still puppeteer mechanism worldwide of the world theater? Because there's some identity who's unknown to everyone, to almost the majority of humanity, who thinks he is the puppeteer of Earth. And I know his identity. I will never disclose that. Wouldn't it be awesome if someone would give me the chance to prove who I am? That's all I ask for your help. I cannot do this alone. This I cannot do alone. What I can do is day in, day out, what I do from my passion for freedom for everyone. To heal myself, to remember everything. And that is in the same position for me as number one, as loving Michael Jackson, and to honor him and because of what is done to him and so many others, and to honor the freedom of all beings. And also my apologies to my dear friends in the Netherlands. It is just a fact, English is more approachable worldwide, and I am trying to get my voice out there because I'm truly withhold from getting my voice out there. And yeah, it's so dear people, I thank you so much for being here. And I will say also some words in the Dutch. Hoi lieve allemaal, ja, laat me weten of je ook vragen hebt in de chat. En ik probeer in Nederlands live te gaan, heel snel. Dat zal waarschijnlijk toch overdag zijn, omdat ik 's avonds bijna niet meer live kan vanwege hier de situatie waar ik woon. Ik woon gewoon in een huis met lieve, wat voor mij voelt als familie. En we zijn gewoon eigenlijk ook een gezin samen, familie, waarvan zij ook werken en ik heb mijn dingen. En ja, dit is gewoon voor mij onmogelijk bijna om 's avonds live te gaan. Wat ik wel kan doen is dus voor 's avonds live te gaan en dan te streamen, deze livestream. Oké, heel veel liefs allemaal. Deel alsjeblieft deze livestream om een stem te krijgen en om meer stemmen te krijgen. Dankjewel. So this was to my Dutch friends. Hi Luke, hi Jen, hello. She says he. Sorry, I'm confused. I saw also someone else I recognize. Hello Elizabeth, thank you for going live. Much love to you. Thank you so much, Luke. Thank you for your support. You know what I mean. I feel so much love and protection and energetic protection from so many people. So thank you so much. I think for me, I need my break, and I will upload this also on my second English channel and on my Rumble, and I will go live streaming this live stream again coming week on Twitch, so that everyone gets the chance to meet me live in the chat rooms. I will, before I close off, I can only say I fully put my hands in God and my godly mission for the truth, for Michael, for my family, my families, my origin, living my origin for all beings, and in no certain order. I mean, it's for me all one. So, I will check the chats and see if there are questions. And you can also ask me in Dutch. I mean, I will answer in English. Oh, thank you so much, Leland V. Leo's picture art. I hope I pronounce your name well. Thank you for the share. And also Thea and everyone else. And there are so many others who shared it. And Alice, of course, I saw also that she shared a couple of times already. And for the likes. So Joke, so many dear friends. Thank you so much if I forgot to mention you. Also, dear Jane, thank you for, your patience to keep on writing the book where I'm honored to be in, and my friendship with Lady Di. Thank you for believing me. Follow also Jane on her channel. And she's also on Facebook, by the way. And when the book is coming out, I don't know. When there will be a follow-up of the documentary, I don't know. It depends on certain situations. And I do feel, again, to ask for your support to help me spread on my legal, peaceful, non-violent way to ask to get my identity proven, or not proven that I'm not the one who You see, I cannot even pronounce it because I know who I am, but you understand what I mean? It's also for the people who want to prove that I'm lying, support me, because then you can prove that I might be lying, which is not the case. But I don't know else how to give it words. So, dear people, I will again check on Facebook. because I'm still on my way to the chat where I'm live. And there are so many more things, examples to tell about that I was caught from the street, and when I was still being in the programming, in all these deprogramming and healing years. Marianne says, what's the link, please? Didn't you get the notification again, Marianne? Reply, okay. You can rewatch it, Marianne. I should be live there. Oh, you see? I will repost it on my personal Facebook page. And I had problems with my internet connection right before I went live. Very strange. But sorry for that. I could have sent you a private message, but I was full. I had my hands full with exhaustion. And sometimes managing going live is even too much for me. But I so much want to go live that I forget these things, like to message you in person that I will go live. So it's re-uploaded on YouTube here. Now, okay. All right, I don't see any questions, dear friends. I hope to meet you soon in that streaming on Twitch, when I will also be in the chat room. Yeah, I'm going for a break. I'm grabbing myself something to eat. No comments here. And thank you for being here. And it's always hard for me to end a live stream. I'm sorry. I also enjoy it a lot. But I've said my thing, and I know myself, I can make it too long otherwise. So dear everyone, bye bye. Lieve allemaal, ik zie jullie heel snel weer live in de livestream. Ook in het Nederlands heel snel. Thank you for watching. Also for the people who rewatch. Thank you so much for your likes, subscribing, sharing, and much love. All right, everyone. Bye-bye. Take care of yourselves, and don't forget also the joy. I really mean that. All right, bye-bye. Look, goodbye. You too, dearest friends. Thank you so much, everyone. Ara, Nobby, Jane, I saw Joke, so many others. Thea, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.